Hi and welcome to this video. In this video, you're going to see how to work with the Hetzner storage box. Let's go to the front end and see how much it costs. Storage box. It's one of the most affordable storage, especially if you want to do backups. So you can see for 1 TB, it's going to be less than €4. 5 TB is that, and so on. So let's see how to work with it. If you don't have a Hetzner account, of course, you're going to need to create one. And once you create it, you're going to come here into, let's go somewhere else. Let's say I'm in Robot. Let's come to console. This is where the Hetzner storage box has been moved to. So you can create a new project, or you can create it within a project. In this case, I'm going to go into this project. And if you scroll down, you're going to see the storage products. So the first one is object storage, but we're interested in the storage box. So let's create a storage box. And the good thing with this is that it is charged hourly. So I'm going to create a new storage box. Choose the location for where the storage is, but probably it doesn't matter, especially if you're using it just for backups. So I'll choose the first one, and then you can access it using a private key, or if you don't select a private key, then you're going to need to add a password there. In this case, I'm just going to use a password. So I'll just add a password there. So additional settings, you can select the protocol that you want to be enabled by default. This setting as well, you can enable it once the storage box has been set up, has been deployed. So in this case, I'm just going to use SSH. I'm just going to enable SSH, but it can be enabled later on, and I will show you how you can do that. If you want to use any of these other protocols as well, you can enable that. And external reachability, this will ensure that if you're outside of the Hetzner network, you can still access your SFTP. You can still access your storage box via SFTP or whichever other protocol. So you can enable that. This will ensure it's accessible from outside. If you try to connect with it, the password is right, the username is right. Always go and check if it is externally reachable. All these other settings, I can leave them as they are. The name, I don't really care for that. It's just a sample. And then I'm going to create and buy the storage box. Right, so it says that the storage box has been created. Let's click on it. And this will be the host name. This will be the host, or rather, this will be the host name for your storage box. If you want to connect anywhere, that will be the host that you will use. And then the password is what you set up earlier. The username is there. So right now, we are actually ready to use it. So if you wanted to enable SMB, you just click on it, click there, and you can enable whichever protocol that you want to enable. During the creation process, I did enable that and enabled external reachability. Let's try and connect to our storage box using SFTP, which is SSH. So let's go to whichever SFTP client you want to use. Copy the host name. In this case, I'm using FileZilla. Username, we also have the username there. And then the password, that is a password that I set up. If you chose an SSH key, make sure you go here and you add your SSH key for FileZilla. Paste. And usually SFTP will use port 22. So if I was to select 22 there, I should be able to connect. I'm not sure whether this is going to use it as FTP or SFTP, but let's come back here and see. If you are to figure out the port is actually there. The port is listed there. So in this case, they want you to use port 23, but I've tested before and port 22 usually works as well. But let's just use port 23. So let's quick connect, and already you can see there's a problem, and the problem is that this is telling me that it's using FTP. So if I want to use it as SFTP, I'll have to come here and go to Site Manager, and I can create a new site. Let me call it sample. So here under sample, let's first of all change the protocol to SFTP, and then the host name, let's grab it from Hetzner, copy, paste, and the port, let's use the port 23, and then the user, let's get the user from Hetzner, paste. If you wanted to use an SSH key, you can enter your key file for the user, browse for the key, and enter the private key there. Browse for your private key from there. In this case, we are going to use a normal login via password. So the password, I'll copy the password from there, come back here, enter the password. You can save this. If you wanted to reuse this multiple times, you can always save it. Let's go back to File, Site Manager, here under Sample. Make sure you click on it, and then you can connect. It will ask you to accept the fingerprint. Okay, we want to accept the fingerprint. There you go. You're now logged into your Hetzner SFTP storage box, and you can use it to store everything that you need. In a moment, we're going to see how you can use it to perhaps back up your WordPress. So if you have a control panel, you can use this to back it up. In this case, I'm just going to use WordPress as an example. Let's come here. We're on the home page. You can see we don't have anything in the home page, in the home directory, I mean. So if you wanted to create a directory here, perhaps you want to create multiple folders to back up different things. You can do that by creating different folders. So let me create a folder here, create a directory, and I can call this WP, and this is going to let me know that this is where I can store the backups for my WordPress files. Maybe you also have cPanel. So create a directory. You can call it cPanel, and then you can send your backups there. Maybe you also have HTTP. You can send your backups to that directory. All right. So that's just how you create the directory as the root account user for this Hetzner storage box. So let's see how we can send a backup to this from WordPress. So let's go back here, and I have a sample website here that I can use. So let's look for any backup plugin. I don't have any backup plugin installed, so I can just search for backup. And let's just go with this, install now, and then activate. Let's come to Updraft. Is it here under settings? Let's see. So under settings, we can set up SFTP. So I'll select SFTP. So apparently SFTP is only supported in the premium version. So let's see FTP. All right, so let's go for a different plugin. Leave. Let's find a different plugin. Add plugin. Let's try WP Vivid. WP Vivid install. Activate. Let's check remote storage. Hopefully this supports SFTP. Enter your SFTP account. Okay, it seems like this supports it. So let's use this for this demonstration. Enter your SFTP account. So this is just a name you can add there, maybe SFWP. It can help you identify the storage to let you know that you're working with this plugin on this website. So server address, let's get the server address from Hetzner. There you go. Put it there, server address, and then the username, get it from Hetzner. Copy, paste, user password, copy, paste, and then the port 23, and then absolute path. So this is a folder I created earlier. You can just use /wp. If you come in here, you can see we are in the home directory, so it will just pick that. So I'll just use it like that, and moment of truth, and add. So something is wrong. So after changing the port, you can see it's working. Let's go to backup and restore. And we can back up the database only. Backup now. And I've actually messed up. I should send to remote storage as well. So I'll backup now. So the backup is there. Let's confirm if it's here as well. So I'll just double click on that, and you'll see our backup is there. So that's how to use the Hetzner storage box. You can use it to backup control panels. If you want to remotely backup your control panel, cPanel, HTTP, Cyber panel, all these control panels, you can use the Hetzner storage box. Let's go to Hetzner storage box and see something else you might want to do is to add a user. If you want to add another user, you can do so. So if you want to do that, create another user for your Hetzner storage box. You can come in here under subaccounts, and with a subaccount, you can create another user and assign a directory for this user. So let's create a subaccount. It has automatically detected all the directories that I already have. So I can create a new one. Let's call it user not root. So that's just the name of the folder. Okay. And then you can give them a protocol. I'll just allow SSH and external reachability If you want it to be read-only, they can only read, they can't upload things to that directory. And then you can add a password, description. You can add a description if you want to, and then create sub-account. And there is your sub-account user. Let's copy that. Let's try to log in with this user as well. Site manager, new site, sub, and then the protocol is SFTP. The host, rather, that is a username, user, and then the password. Before we get to the password, let's get the host. So if you're using SFTP, this is a host you're going to use. If you're using SMB and SIF, this is what you're going to use. So let's come here, give it the host name, the port. Let's just go with 23 still. If it doesn't work, we'll just go with 22. The password, I gave it the same password. Copy, paste, connect. Okay. There you go. Now your new user as well has their home directory there, and they can also create a directory. Let's call it WP. Okay. So the only thing I don't know is, can you give them a quarter of the storage? So that's the sub user. Access details, edit. So unfortunately, there is no way to give them a quarter of the storage. Maybe you want them to only have access to 50 GB. I don't see any way for doing that here. Maybe you can reach out to support and see if there's a way for doing that. And most importantly, if you want to reset a password, you can reset the password for this user. You can also reset the password for the main user. If you come there, you can reset the password, give it a new password. Before I end the video, let's see if we can put something there from our WordPress test center. Can we add another remote storage location for SFTP? Let's go to Hetzner, subaccounts, access details, get the host name, user password, Control C, Control V, the port. I will leave the port empty to see what this plugin will do. And then absolute path, we're going to use WP. Test and add. Okay, the port number is required. The port number is required. Let's do port 22 and then test and add. Failed to create a test file. Please try again later. Why is that? Do I need that? Test and add. Okay, so apparently with this plugin, you also need to add the / for the directory. In other control panels, I found that it is not necessary. So that's why I was leaving it out, but here you need to add it. Send backup to remote storage, backup now. There you go. It's also in this other users directory. I've shown you how you can use SFTP. So debugging, sometimes you'll find that you're not able to connect. So in that case, you can use the given port, or you can use port 22. Sometimes also you're able to log in, but you'll automatically get logged out immediately. And that is because of this setting here, external reachability. So just click on any of this and you can enable external reachability. Those are usually the biggest problems you're going to face with Hetzner storage box: the port and external reachability. If you're going to use this within your Hetzner network, maybe with your Hetzner virtual machines, you don't need to give external reachability because they can talk to each other as long as they're within the Hetzner network. So that's it for this one. If you have a specific request, a specific question, feel free to let me know. See you next time in another video.